In regards to the dynamics between language and power and how it manifests over time, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, there are many dimensions to it. Those, from one point of view, those who control the language have automatically a degree of power just by virtue of their dominating the language, the prestige language of the community. Others correspondingly lose power. From another point of view, having not just your own language, but your own language as part of a cultural and community framework simply empowers people. There's a big difference between being an atomized individual in a not necessarily hostile, but at least an environment that has no specific meaning to you, and being a member of a live community with a history, with a family history, a community history, a culture that you participate in of all kinds, the arts, the common history, whatever cultural wealth, all centered around the language, which typically is the core of it. I mean, language is, after all, the distinctive human property. It's the fundamental property that distinguishes humans from other animals, and our creative capacities and endeavors pretty much grow out of having the language, a live language faculty. So for integrating a community, both with the past and with the present and an anticipated future, that situates a person in a system which is enriching and empowering just by virtue of being part of it, as distinct from being an atom inside a general environment which you have no relationship to, no special relationship to. So there are many dimensions of relations between language and empowerment.
How do you feel about that, Dr. DeGraff?
Well, when I think of, say, my own country, Haiti, I think it's such a clear case of this link between language and power. So if you look at what's happening now in Haitian politics, in the school system, those who have the mastery of the French language, they automatically detain the most power because the school system is built in a way that excludes the majority who speaks only Creole. You see, so there's a clear link here between once you introduce and you have science and mathematics and literacy in Creole, automatically you will allow the school to create a sharing of power across the population, not only just among those who speak French. You see, so for me, this question is so pertinent, because what we're trying to do in Haiti with Creole is to create a framework where everyone can participate in the creation and transmission of power, of knowledge, really, which gives you power then.
Dr. Chomsky, what do you think about promoting Creole languages and using them in our schools?
In Boston?
Yes.
Well, it's one of the main spoken languages in Boston. I think it's third after English and Spanish, and you hear it all the time. Every time I take a taxi ride,
that's right.
I hear Creole. You know. So it's for the community itself, and also just for the general cultural vibrancy of the city. It should be encouraged and supported as a major language that's part of the Boston scene, critical for the community itself and enriching for the rest of us. Like it's a more exciting, diverse, lively community if you see cultures thriving and developing.
Why do you think Haitian Creole or Cape Verdean Creole haven't been promoted in Massachusetts or in Boston to be part of, the school system, the languages that the students actually learn, are literate in, are bilingual in?
Well, it's partly general ignorance, which was also true of the linguistics profession, even for a long time, that didn't really recognize these as authentic languages, which is of course crazy. But it's the same. There was the same issue with Block English for a long time. It took a long time before even the profession came to understand. Look, these are just languages just like English. It's just that we happen to have the power and they don't. But and the same with Creole. It's just another language, and that with all the richness, the productivity, the surrounding cultural wealth, and so on that's associated with languages. And it's in the lay cultures, it has been even harder to bring about this recognition, partly because of the associations of language with class, with other, color, and so on and so forth. So to try to, it's been hard enough even for Spanish to do it with Creole that has the extra disability of racism, of the sense, the false belief that somehow Creoles are not real languages, which is not true, and so on. That's where Michel's work has been particularly significant.
Thank you.
Even, I should say, within the profession, to make it clear, even to professional linguists, that their prejudices about the nature of Creole are just all false. A lot of very important linguistic work.